Today, I had a rare pleasure of interviewing a close friend and a colleague, Mary Grinnan, who has been working along with me for years now. She gets to meet and talk to hundreds, roughly 300 to 400 law firm owners every single year. She talks strategy, she talks about how to accomplish their big business goals, and she has amazing insights on what works, what doesn't work, what leads to some law firm owners being incredibly successful, while others may be stagnating. Listen to this episode where she shares all of these insights and maps out some of the roadmaps what law firm owners can do, those who may not be necessarily very business-minded, what they can do to get into the mindset and get outrageously better results than what they're used to. Enjoy the episode. Hi there. I have a small but really meaningful favor to ask you. I watch at the stats on our YouTube channel and Spotify channel, wherever most people listen and watch our podcast. And I see that over 80% of everybody who listens to it regularly is not a subscriber. I'm asking you to subscribe to this channel. And the reason for that is my mission and the mission of my team is to help as many small law firm owners to learn how to transform their law firms into better businesses, and so they in turn enjoy better lives. When you hit subscribe button, you tell these platforms that this is content worth listening, worth viewing, and they in turn will show it to many other small law firm owners and hopefully help me fulfill our mission of helping them create a better business and enjoy better lives. So would you please do me this favor? It would mean the world to me. And hit the subscribe button. And my promise to you is that I will continue to work hard at creating good content with practical ideas that help you and your teams grow better law firms. Thank you. Welcome to Grow Law Podcast. I have the honor of having a friend and a colleague on this podcast. Mary Grinnan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sasha. It is my pleasure. Very excited to join you.
Mary and I have been working together for quite some time, and it's fun to have a friend, like a true friend, on the podcast who I've known for years now, who is a great expert at law firm growth. And we've been meaning to do this for quite some time, and you're finally here.
Well, I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate the accolades. There isn't much that I know that I didn't learn from you, so I
thank you.
It's been fun several years.
I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. Just before we hit the record button, Mary and I were talking about like her feeling a little uneasy about being on the podcast because she hasn't been on the podcast before. And I'm like, Mary, relax. We're just going to have a great conversation. You and I have so many conversations because we are friends and we're colleagues. And you talk to hundreds, and I mean hundreds of law firm owners every single year about growing their businesses. So this should feel very natural, but Mary was like a little bit tight at the very beginning. But I promise you, we're going to have a great time. So I guesstimated that on average, you talk to 7 to 10 law firm owners who are new to you every single week. And assuming that most of us work about 48 weeks a year, that gives you approximately like 320 unique conversations with new to us, new to our company, new to you, law firm owners. So, and you've had these conversations for years. So that's a lot of law firm owners. In this episode, what I want to dissect with you, because I think that out of everyone at our company, you get to talk to more folks who are new to us than anybody else. And then you get to see some of them through as they become clients and they're on a journey with us. I want for you and I to dissect what is the formula for those law firm owners that go on to be more successful, who win more at growing their law firms versus those who do not. I know it's a really strange question, and the way that I formulate it is very strange, but like I really see that some people, they move in the right direction intuitively, and others stagnate and put roadblocks for themselves. So you, as the person who gets to have like so many of those conversations, I want to hear your take on it. Like, what are the character traits that you see in those who tend to win more and faster than the others?
Well, I mean, we both know there are so many different dynamics that go into when someone really does grow and become successful. So there's things that maybe they don't necessarily control what the geographical market is or what their particular practice area is. Obviously makes a difference. But the one key factor that really has seemed to make the biggest difference across the board is someone who's willing to make the investment. So I can't tell you how many I meet who decide to make a smaller investment or not go all the way in. And it really becomes a much more expensive journey for them because we come around and talk again the next year. And at that point, they've invested probably thousands, but still not enough to make a difference. And it was all waste. You know, working with companies that were too sheepish to ask for the investment that was going to be necessary to get them the volume of leads necessary to sign new cases. And it really puts them not only back time-wise, but back financially wise. We have current clients that I know I could have saved them thousands if they went with us sooner rather than later. But really the common denominator would be the faith and the ability to make the proper investment pretty much right away.
Yeah, it's playing to us and those people who have been like really career business people, that to grow it takes a certain level of investment, and that investment has to be of competitive grade. Like if your competition invests X% of their revenue into getting more revenue and you invest a third of what they do, probability that you're going to get substantial amount of new business is low, very low. But law firm owners, as is the case with most other small business owners, are at a disadvantage because they're not career business people. They're career lawyers who, for whatever reason, that entrepreneurial bug bit them one day and they're like, starting my own law firm. Right? By the way, I've been there and done that. I'm a finance guy and I started my own financial services company because I thought that I could do it. And it was a struggle for a few years. It was really a struggle. But they are at a disadvantage. And I think, and this one is hard, it falls on their advisors if they have advisors, or on us as their advisors to educate them on why it requires a certain level of commitment, why they have to have faith that that commitment, that financial commitment is an investment, not an expense. It's going to work out. But so many are still not convincible.
Well, and you brought up a really important point. And I would say it falls maybe probably 50-50 with the attorneys that I talk to. Some of them are business minded. They don't necessarily want to practice law. They want to run the business, grow the business, sell the business, and run the law firm as a business. And then there's this other half that love practicing law or just are really great at practicing law and haven't figured out the business part yet. So it really changes the conversation that you're having with these attorneys about moving forward and growing their law firm, and trying to communicate in a language that makes sense to them, depending upon whether if they really are business minded or if they just love practicing law and wanted to be on their own. I think we've talked all the time. If I could do one thing for attorneys, and I mean, obviously I talk to attorneys that graduate from Yale and Harvard and all over the country, and they've never taken a business course. Like if I could do one thing, I wish I could talk to the law schools and say, hey guys, can we add this to the curriculum? Can we add this to these attorneys? What a jump that would give attorneys when they come out. And it happens all the time. Sometimes I meet with attorneys who haven't even passed, adults that haven't even passed the bar yet. Hey, I'm passing the bar next week. Can you help me? I don't even know where to start.
Uh-huh.
And, and it's a more of an educational conversation at that point, but they're taking the bar exam and have never had any direction or any idea of where to go, where to get the cases, and where to start with the marketing. So some are at a clear disadvantage.
Yeah. I agree with almost everything that you said, except for law schools teaching business. Law schools are law schools. They're not business schools. And I think and this is something that I want to impart on those who may be listening or watching this episode, is that it is on you to develop business acumen. It is not on your law school that you went to maybe 20, 30 years ago to It was not on them to help you develop your business acumen. It was on them to develop your legal acumen. So if you left law school and you're not a very good, you don't know law very well, well, that's on them and it's on you. But developing business acumen as a law firm owner, once you decided to become a business owner operator, that's like 100% on you. So
And
I know that
some really do. I mean, like I said, it's a 50-50 thing. Some attorneys, you can tell that they really dove deep and learned the business aspect, and it's made all the difference in the world when they're picking a marketing company and deciding what to do next. I mean, really makes all the difference in the world.
for sure. It is not uncommon for us to have clients who come to us and they're already in the 8-figure revenue range, which is remarkable. Like statistically, for any business, it is very hard to make it to $10 million plus. I had the pleasure of having Louis Scott, many of you have heard his name, on this podcast now thrice. And a couple of years ago when we talked about it, he mentioned to me that the probability of a law firm reaching $10 million in revenue is 0.115%. Well, let's call it 0.1%. So it's like out of 1,000 law firms, there will be one that will just crush it and reach $10 million in revenue. By the way, as you're listening to this and you may be doing $1 million in revenue or 2 or 3 or maybe sub-million, to you, $10 million seems like light years away, but growing a business is very, very, very formulaic. Just ask most who have crossed that threshold, ask them how they did it, and they will tell you, well, it was this, and then it was this, and then it was this. But it's interesting, and here's something that I agree with you wholeheartedly, is that there are law firm owners who are truly business minded, and there are those who are truly like law focused. And if you give it 5-10 years, if they're starting like at the exact same levels, in 5-10 years, the difference in the outcome, financial outcome, is going to be ridiculously different, just ridiculously different. And this is something that can be taught, and this is something that can be learned. But I don't think it's something that you can internalize if you just don't want to focus on the business side of things.
And I think you're right. No, there's, Sasha, we have attorneys that work for us that say, I don't want to have any meetings. I don't want to discuss it.
You mean who we work for?
Who we work for. Who we work for.
Us.
And I don't want any meetings. We have to work on this together. Let me teach you. You will enjoy it more when you understand how this is happening, what it's doing. And it's a part of what we do when we onboard a new law firm, is a little bit of that education so that they understand how this is working, why it's important that we meet. But and then you see that, the attorneys that are just head first, jump in, love every aspect of it, love looking over the strategies and what's changing this month from last month. And you definitely see the success of the two different, how vastly different they are.
Yeah, we do see it all the time. And again, I wish we could help those who are not focused on the business side of things internalize just how important it is. So let me try to quantify the difference. So let's suppose that 2 law firms come to us and they're both doing like $2 million in revenue, and they each have been in business for years. Because by the way, it is a challenge to get to $2 million in revenue. So they get to $2 million in revenue, and one owner is really focused on growing the business, and the other one just wants to do better. And just wants to do better could be like a bit more personal income to meet lifestyle goals. So one who is absolutely gung-ho about growing the business could set a fairly ambitious target of growing 25% a year. Not huge, very manageable, but 25% a year. And the other one was like, well, I just want to make like 400 grand a year, 500 grand a year, right? So in 6 years, the person who started at $2 million, their law firm will be doing $8, $9, $10 million in revenue. Why? Because if you grow at the rate of 25%, every 3 years, you're going to double in size. So if you give it 6 years, like you will certainly at just 25% per year, just average, right? You'll have some better years, some worse years, but on average, within 6 years, it will be an $8 million law firm. If you're operating an $8 million law firm and you're the sole owner and you operate it fairly well, not like amazingly well, but fairly well, you're probably paying yourself $400,000 a year or so for managing the firm, and you're pocketing 20% net profit pre-tax. 20% on $8 million is $1.6 million. So you're making $2 million. That's if you focus on growing your law firm just 25% a year. Very manageable for most law firms. And if your focus was, I want to make $400,000, $500,000 a year, you'll get there too. and your income will continue to increase. By the way, $400,000 or $500,000. Let me be clear, nothing to snuff at.
I was just going to say, so there's a lot of a ton of attorneys that are happy with that.
I am absolutely sure of it. But here's the thing. You'll probably hit it. And it will probably take less years, and then your income will continue to incrementally grow, but it will be very incremental growth. While your peer, who started at the same level as you did, within short 6 years, will be able to have much more impact on this world or their family than you would. And here's how I look at it. Like, there's a certain level of personal income where like another $10, $20, $50,000 a year does not make very much difference to your lifestyle. But if you're a charitable person, I know you are, and I know I am, right? Like, to us, making extra allows us to do good in the world. Like one of my personal goals is significantly grow my personal contributions to the charities of my choice every single year, right? So you can just pull it off if you focus on the business, if you're so minded, or if you choose to be so minded. Because I also found a few law firm owners who started off not business minded. They were great lawyers. And then for some reason they had a fallout with their boss, whoever they worked for, and they're like, screw it, I'm going to go and open my own law firm. And they know very little about the business. And as they go through the trials and tribulations of operating your own business, they start learning and figuring out. And they're like, wait, I'm beginning to like the business side of it more than the legal side of it. And I can tell you, there is a glass ceiling to how much you can make as a lawyer. It's very, very natural. Like the most expensive lawyer I actually got to talk to was charging $800 an hour. If that guy flat out like built and received 2,000 hours a year, which is not going to happen, he'll make $1.6 million. But that, like, nobody makes that, or almost nobody makes that. Like, most lawyers will top out around $300,000-$400,000 a year. With Bureau of Labor Statistics, couple of years reporting median income to be around $142,000. Right, but as a law firm owner, sky is the limit. It's your business acumen and the people that you hire. That's really
not to mention having that as a sellable asset.
Right.
I mean,
a big one.
A big one.
Elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, really, what's the end goal for all of us, right? Like, I mean, of course, some probably want to work forever, but retirement at some point, moving on to a different age in life at some point. And you make this investment and you work hard all of these years. But what happens when you stop practicing law? If you're the one only practicing law and these are the leads, when you have an actual firm that is generating this kind of revenue, you have employees that work for you, it's now a sellable asset. You actually have generational wealth to leave to your family, to retire on. When you have a firm that's generating like that, you can sell it instead of, just practicing law yourself. Creating $300,000-$400,000 a year is a beautiful living for most anybody in this country. But when you stop working, what happens? If something, God forbid, something does happen to you and you can't, what happens? When you have a firm that has been built on business acumen and generating that kind of revenue, you have a sellable asset, and it's worth a lot more to the future for yourself and your family.
Yeah. And again, let's quantify that. Again, like that example that I used, 2 lawyers, 2 law firm owners starting at the same point. The one who will get to $8 million, if they do indeed produce 20% net profit, they're probably going to be able to sell that law firm at 5 times net profit. So 5 times 1.6 million, that's $8 million. It is, for most of us, not everyone, but for most of us, it's a life-changing kind of event. And unfortunately, as we know to be the case, many times, it happens. And sometimes you have to step away from the business, like forever. Yesterday, I read the devastating news that JFK's granddaughter, 35, diagnosed with terminal illness. Do not wish it upon your enemy, right? But if that kind of thing happens, like, what do you, like, if you have a law firm that's worth $8 million, you can sell it and leave that behind to take care of the family. But if it's just your salary and your business is not really a viable business without you because you're it, then I had a loved one who went through very aggressive cancer, and it took her life in like under 2 years. I can tell you, you stop working really quickly after that diagnosis. Like 6 months after she was diagnosed, she was unable to work because of chemo treatments and other things. And again, it's a very unlikely scenario, especially that early in life. She was diagnosed with a terminal cancer at 36. She died before turning 38. It's like, but that kind of thing can happen. And again, like as you're working on your business, like it's something to think about. I've been a business owner operator now. Next month will be 24 years. And because of the amount of stress that like you as an owner operator take on, it's magnitudes more than of the folks who work at your law firm. It's normal. It comes with the territory. You will stress a ton more than they will. It's part of the gig. If you want to operate your own business, you know you're going to be stressed out and you're going to be working longer hours and you will be taking on way more risk. And you will need to, one way or another, you're going to learn that business, whether you want to or not. Like there will be like your responsibilities will be, you will be wearing 17 million different hats. Comes with the territory. You might as well look at it as not just a job, not just a business, but something like you said, a sellable asset. Whether you decide it as part of just your retirement and you do it by design, or shit hits the fan, something unexpected comes along and you got to sell, which unfortunately I've heard and I've seen so many of those cases. So there's one more case where you may want to have a sellable law firm, and that is partnerships fall apart. Mm-hmm. They do. They absolutely do. There have been some public disputes between large law firm owners. And what they like, you want to walk away from your law firm because you hate your partner's guts? Very unlikely scenario, but they happen. Right. Or do you want to walk away with a sizable check? Right. If your law firm is not worth very much, you may have an agreement where your soon-to-be former partner buys you out and you're going to get a stream of small payments. Or if it is a sizable, profitable business, guess what your soon-to-be former partner can do? They can go to SBA, Small Business Administration, and get a 7A loan to buy you out, up to $5 million. They can borrow up to $5 million to buy out you so that you walk away with a check. And SBA, backed by the strength of the United States federal government, will finance that purchase.
It comes to mind, I have actually met with more than one, definitely at least 2 attorneys who had strokes young in life. And their goal is to have exactly what we're talking about. They realized after a stroke, and both of them, obviously, God willing, survived. I was meeting with them, had recovery, had medical bill, had to start over from scratch. Mm-hmm. Both saying, this time I'm building a firm that can provide for my family if I'm out, that I can sell if I'm no longer to practice law. The odds of me having another stroke are high. We got to start building this now. So it's more common than we think, even in those aspects. So it's a conversation that's had every day with these attorneys that I met. What is the goal? What is the goal? You hire a new high performance marketing company. What is the goal? Obviously, they have different goals based upon their mindset, but those with the business acumen doing leaps and bounds better for generations.
Business acumen is the real difference maker. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, by the way, business acumen is a funny thing. It's kind of like a professional sport. You can always get better. Like the smartest people, best business minds, what they do practically daily is they learn and polish their business acumen to be better and better and better. And that includes Warren Buffett, who is now 95. And he reads like 600 pages every day to know more, to get better at what he does. It's wild. It is absolutely wild. My advisor and my partner's advisor, 18,000 employees across multiple businesses, studies all the time. Studies proactively. It's like part of his rituals. He's studying to become better, to develop better business. Accidentally, one of the people he learns from is Warren Buffett. So he's like, you're going to learn from the best businessman, Warren Buffett. So if you're watching this, if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, I really need to work on my business acumen to get much better results out of my business, out of my law firm, it's never too late to start. Whether you're 34 or 58 or 62 or anything in between, like that business mind, this business acumen is like a game of tennis or anything else. You can take coaching lessons. or you can take lessons from a coach, get a business advisor. There are plenty of good ones, plenty of really bad ones, plenty of really good ones. Start learning, and within 3 to 6 years, your outcomes dramatically change, and so does your lifestyle, and so does your impact on the world.
Since you brought it up, gosh, business advisors. I can definitely see the difference with law firm owners. Maybe they are working on that business acumen, but those that bring in a business advisor maybe take some of that fear away from having to make some of those decisions on their own. But they tend to make smarter investments for the longevity and the growth of the firms. Those that pick, obviously, not all advisors are created equal, but those that have fairly educated business advisors, also that the conversation is so much more fluid to have this discussion about what's this marketing going to do? What does growth mean to the law firm? How are we going to do this? And what stages do we do it? When they have an advisor, the seed's already been planted. They understand that this is what's necessary to get to that next step that they're trying to achieve.
So it's business acumen. It's having the right budget, which should come with business acumen. And business acumen often comes from self-study and also having the right advisor. Mm-hmm. One mission-critical component, and this is going to be a self-serving part of the conversation, but I'm not pitching our company, our services, but just thinking about marketing industry as a whole. One of the mission-critical decisions that law firm owners and all other business owners have to make is who is going to be the marketing company that will work for me to help me accomplish my growth goals. Because growth, it is very formulaic, as I mentioned earlier. To grow your business, there are 3 ways that are known to humankind. You A, get more customers. You B, get your customers to spend with you more often. And you C, increase average transaction that you have with your customers. For most law firms, getting customers or clients to increase frequency of transactions is impossible. Like, do not tell your clients to commit more crimes so they come to you for more legal defense, obviously.
Right.
Don't tell them to get into more accidents, obviously, all of those things. So if you can't influence them, and you shouldn't, probability that they're going to need you as an attorney more often in all practice areas that they can think of, except for one, which is business law. But for all other practice areas, probability of recurring business from the same client is very low. So the third way to increase your business is to maximize transaction value. Can you increase your average check? You can. Significantly, probably not. If everybody else in your field charges $5,000 for an estate plan, chances are you're not going to be able to command $15,000. So then the growth starts with and leads with getting more clients, getting more cases. And this is purely a marketing function. But what you and I know is that many, but not all, law firm owners make hiring decision when they're selecting a vendor. And we've met a ton of them who made that decision like not once, not twice, but like 7 or 8 times. So they just keep on like, I hired this marketing company and they sucked. And then I hired another one and oh my God, that was atrocious. And so not making this about us, but for law firm owners who may be listening or watching to this, what are the primary decision-making criteria and how to make the right decisions when you're choosing that growth partner who's going to work for your law firm? It's very common that when you hire a marketing company, they'll work for you for a year or 2 or 3 before you fire them, even if they're just mediocre. So it's a long-term decision that's going to have long-term impact because good ones are going to help your law firm grow bigger, faster, more profitably with way less stress. And the opposite is also true. Now, on to you, Mary. Like what are the right criteria, selection criteria for the right marketing partner and the common mistakes that people make?
It's a great question, Sasha. Often I feel like decisions are made, maybe say because they loved the graphic design that was provided. What does that mean if it's not getting you results?
You mean picking a marketing company based on their ability to design nice looking websites?
Correct. They're like, I really liked their example, so I went with them. If I were a law firm owner and I was looking for a marketing company, I would be focused solely on the results that they have gotten their current clients. I would be wanting solely to be having that discussion about results. Show me the results. Let me see the results. And it's actually quite rare that is the topic of the discussion I'm having with attorneys. They want to know, just give me the price. I just want the price. Let me know Well, listen, if it doesn't work, it's really expensive. I don't care if it's $1,000 a month. It's really expensive if you're not getting results. Who cares how phenomenally designed the website is, what the bold colors are, if nobody's getting to the website in the first place? I often try to rearrange the conversation and come back to, what are the goals? What are the results? Let me show you the results that I've gotten my clients. Let me show you the firms that I have and the results that they've gotten. That's how we come up with the individualized plans. For us, we come up with individualized plans for each of our firms as to what would work best to get them to the goals that they're trying to achieve. It really comes down, obviously you have to have some trust and some faith, but how do you build that if you've never worked together? You got to look at their success stories. And, if you happen to like a particular website and the way that it looks, reach out to the other companies that, the other law firms that are working with that marketing company, see what their results are. That's really where the key decision needs to be made, in my opinion. This becomes not a cost, it becomes an investment when you're actually getting a return. Not all marketing companies are created equal. That's for sure. Not all the content is created equal. You do have to do your research.
Yeah, great point. I think most of us humans are not very good at selecting providers, not just marketing companies, but providers for different services that we do not consume on a regular basis. So this applies to doctors, lawyers, marketing companies, business advisors. And the reason for that is, how often do you hire a specialist in the medical field for something specific and maybe it's a newer problem? Not often. How often do you hire an attorney? According to whatever statistics study I read years ago, most consumers hire an attorney 3 times in their lifetimes. How often do you hire a marketing company for your law firm? Once every 3 years, give or take on average. So some do it more frequently than that because they made a mistake and they realized that they made a mistake within that first year. And because we're not professional buyers, quote unquote, we make those hiring mistakes more often than we'd like to admit, or more often than we'd know. And the cost of making those mistakes, often immeasurable, but very, very substantial. So having a lot of empathy for all of us as humans who are making those poor decisions, and specifically for law firm owners. I'm just putting myself into shoes. Like if I was a law firm owner and I was looking to hire a marketing company, one of the things that Mary, you said I would definitely do is I would want to make sure that they don't just understand what my point A is, where I am today with my revenue. I would want to make sure that they understand my point A and my point B, where I'm going, and give me a plan, how they're going to help me get from point A to point B. Make sure that the plan has no holes. Like I would ask them critical questions, not necessarily silly technical questions that you can get ChatGPT to produce by hundreds, right? That I also do not understand what they mean. I would be like, listen, today my law firm does $2 million in revenue. My average case value is $5,000. Thus, I have 400 cases that I successfully close out every year. Thus, I get $2 million. My goal, within 3 years, hopefully sooner than later, go from 2 million to 4 million. Help me get from 400 clients to 800 clients per year. They're like, sure, show me the plan. And they show me the plan and they start poking holes in that plan. I want to make sure that they are solid. Like at a trial, like you want it beyond any reasonable doubt, right? That's what if you were a trial attorney, that's what you would want, beyond any reasonable doubt. You want to look at that growth plan and you want to ask enough questions to make sure that the plan is beyond any reasonable doubt. If there is reasonable doubt, you either need to ask more questions, or if they can't explain it, as I teach my teenagers, like if you can't explain something that you learned for the test well enough, you don't know it well enough. If a marketing vendor like tells you here's the plan and you start asking them questions like, how is this going to work? Why do you think that it's going to help me increase my case flow by 25% a year? Go from 400 cases to 500 cases in the next 12 months. If they can't explain it and you keep on poking them with those questions, they don't know it well enough. What's the probability that they're going to get you those 500 cases? I don't know, probably less than 50%, because they themselves don't know what it is that they're selling and how it's going to work. So probing questions to make sure that the plan is beyond reasonable doubt. I think that's super important. And this is, by the way, if you have a business advisor, get that business advisor in that meeting. Look, have them talk to the marketing company. They should know what questions to ask. If you can get them into the meeting, like them to help you with some mission critical questions to ask the marketing company rep, so that you have like no doubt that this is going to work.
Absolutely.
And it's as important as hiring high value doctor, specialty doctor. Like if you have a heart problem, like you don't want to like chance it with a cardiologist, because you might die. While your law firm will probably not die with a shitty marketing company, but you're not going to be happy. And a year's long contract with a marketing company where you may not be happy for 6, 7, 8 months, that's really long. So you want to get in with someone where like and this is one of our core philosophies, is that you do not offer services unless you have a very, very high degree of confidence that they're going to deliver what the client actually wants. And you going into this relationship with your marketing vendor, you still have a very high degree of confidence that they're going to deliver what it is that you want.
Absolutely.
And it's not hard. It's not hard. It's just asking the right questions and making sure that it's beyond reasonable doubt. I think that
really,
many, and you brought it up that many law firm owners, they hire based on the fits the budget, which, like you said, $1,000 wasted is $1,000 too much. Paraphrasing it slightly, or like I love their designs. Then what? By the way, your love for their design, for their style, does not mean that all of your website visitors love that same design. It's just your personal preference speaking and saying, like, I love this specific yellow color on the background with this font. I love the way that it looks. Good. You stroke your ego. You know, it looks really nice. But now what? No new cases? It's a beautiful
Imagine
business
that.
card that does absolutely nothing.
It's heartbreaking sometimes to see that was the thought process that went into the decision, because just like you said, look, there isn't a magic potion. There's a strategy, implement the strategy, you do the research to make sure that that's the proper strategy, and it will work. But you need to make sure that the marketing company has the experts that can give you that research and the strategy, and has the expertise to execute it properly.
Yeah. And again, just as important as picking the right doctor, just picking the right lawyer. If it's something that's really important, like trial, you don't want somebody who like fits the budget, or
Right.
who has a really nice looking website. Have you done this type of case? No, but check out my website. It's beautiful. I have a great website designer that put it together for me. Said no one ever.
No one.
Right? Like facing murder charges. Check out my beautiful website.
The font
right?
and the yellow, which is exactly what I imagined.
The font. But so it is. I know that we're poking fun on this, but the truth of the matter is that we have seen this incredible number of times where these decisions are made poorly, and then you get a website or you get a vendor and they spend time and energy and your money, and the outcome that you get is very similar to what you had before you started, sometimes worse. And a year goes by, and that year is a terrible thing to waste. It's not the money that you spent with that marketing vendor that didn't have the right answers, like how this is going to help me increase my revenue by 25%. It's the time. The time you're not going to get back.
Absolutely.
Gosh, we sound very negative right now, just like super negative. But I think it comes from the right place. Like we see it often.
Listen, Sasha, you know this about me. Sometimes I get it like emotionally attached to some of these attorneys that I meet with that have not made the right decisions in the past and have these hurdles, whatever they may be. And I'll tell you, I'm like, oh, you know, they're going to wait 1 year. And the hard part is it's not the lack of investment. It's that in 1 year, the space between their current standings and their competitors even going to be greater. The time lost is so hard to get back. And it's sometimes I need to not get so emotionally attached to some of the firms that I do. Just, you know, really wanting them to make the right decision this time. Because for many, I'd say 3/4 of the firms that I talk to, we're not their first marketing company. Worked with other marketing companies, and they've either made mistakes or have become kind of complacent. Their current marketing company is complacent. There isn't any growth anymore. Sometimes it's hard to see some of the decisions that have been made in the past. And so it's not, you got to create a barrier so I don't get super attached to all these firms, but it's hard to see sometimes. I mean, sometimes I think about, I'm like, oh, I sure hope so-and-so's doing well. And so it's, especially when you know what you can do for them, how it can be life-changing.
Yeah. But you can only bring a horse to water. Can't force it to drink. Crappy analogy. Sorry, folks. But Mary and I, we do feel the pain because we've seen those wrong decisions made so many times, right? And by the way, do we care for you to come and become our client? But if you don't, it's also okay. Just go to one of the really good ones. Talking about marketing companies, there aren't many, but some are really good, really, really good. Those who are really, really good are going to be free to you, meaning the amount of new cases, the volume of revenue that they're going to add to your profit and loss statement is going to significantly outpace what you're going to invest with them by like multitudes. And the opposite is also true. Like if you get somebody who's mediocre or worse than mediocre, they just won't deliver.
And you know this to be true, but I meet with attorneys for whatever reason we're not the best fit. I'll tell them, tell me who else you're talking to. I would go with this one because of this reasons. I would go with that one because of these reasons. If we are not particularly a good fit for whatever that may be, they may be a solo attorney with a very specific budget now, I'll refer you to a great company that can help you to start to build a foundation there that won't be wasteful. So we're not always the best fit for someone, but I want to make sure that you're not making a mistake. So I often suggest to attorneys that I talk to, let me be an advisor for you for free. We'll build that relationship, and maybe sometime in the future our paths will cross again, but I gladly help where I can in those type of situations.
Yeah, just as good attorneys would also like refer out prospects where they see that it's not a great fit.
Absolutely.
These are really, really important decisions that you make in business. Just like the next big decision that you got to make is you got to optimize your intake, which so many law firm owners overlook, but it's the greatest leverage that you have in your business to improve performance of the business is intake. And there are some really good vendors that will help you optimize it. And then there are some really mediocre ones that will teach you how to optimize it, but will not optimize it. And then you don't have the time on your calendar to actually and you do not have anyone on staff to really optimize it. And then you're just kind of stuck where you are, which again, with business acumen come better decisions when it comes to selecting vendors, asking better questions, etc. And it's just so important. And that's why if you're a law firm owner, you're listening to this or you're watching this, I advocate that you fall in love with the business side of your law firm more than you're already in love with the legal side of it. Because guess what you cannot do when you're practicing law? You can't really think about your business. And thinking about your business is a full-time job. It is a full-time job. And vice versa. If you're thinking about your business most of the time or all of the time, guess what you cannot do? You cannot practice law. And what I found is that amazing attorneys who really focus on the legal side of their business, they stay amazing attorneys and they practice law forever. And those attorneys who become really good at developing their business acumen, they stop practicing law because it's a different game, a game that can be infinitely played. And it's not the score that's rising, it's the outcome of playing those games. It's like you can start on you start at PV league, and then you move on to like middle school, and then you move on to high school, and then all of a sudden you're at college, and like you can get to pro level with the game of business. Like pro level to me in a law firm, if you hit $50 million in annual revenue, you're at the pro level. There aren't many businesses that hit that revenue level. But if you get there, if you get it to 10 million, you're definitely college. You're definitely college. If you hit $1 million, anywhere between $1 million and $10 million, you're like high school. By the way, at $1 million, your life is probably very difficult. 2 million, a little easier. 3 million, easier. 5 million, you already know that you're going to college. Like you're just not there yet. This is junior year. You're already on the varsity team, right? You're like, you see the track, you're talking to recruiters. You know that you're going to college. You know, right? You're just not there yet. But at 1 million, your hair is on fire, and like it's really hard. By the way, that applies to law firms and marketing companies and all kind of service business. Million is incredibly hard. 2 million is hard. 3 million is easier, but not easy. And like I'm telling you, if you are like at 2 million and you still don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, trust me, like your focus should be to get to 5 million as fast as humanly possible, and you'll be like, all right, a breath of fresh air. And for most of you, it's very formulaic. It's like, how many cases do I need to get to 5 million? I'm going to use like a really simple numbers. $10,000 average case value, we need to close and get paid for 500 cases a year to get to 5 million. How many qualified leads do my intake people, intakers, need to talk to get to 500 cases per year? Well, 1 out of 4 becomes a great. So 500 times 4 is 2,000 qualified leads. What percentage of all leads that we get are actually qualified? Usually 50%. 50%. Great. I need to have 4,000 leads a year coming through our inbox and coming through our ringing the phone and chat, whatever it may be. Great. 4,000 sounds like a lot until you divide it by 12. Okay, well, it's 340 leads a month. And then you divide it by a number of days in a month. Hopefully, if you're in PI or criminal defense, somebody should be in your intake team every day. And it's about 11 leads a day, 12 leads a day. If you're in other practice areas, okay, you're open 5 days a week, 22 days per month. Okay. So it's like 17 leads per day. Now, all you got to do is ask, who is going to deliver those 17 leads a day? And what should I invest to get them? That's how formulaic it is.
Yes.
You'll get to those $5 million, not in a jiffy, but like you'll get there. And at $5 million, you'll be like spreading your wings and just thinking like, how soon can I get to 10 million? Because at 10 million, I think for most law firm owners, at 10 million in revenue, it is a point of potential financial freedom because your law firm will be worth about 10 million because it's 10 million, 20% net profit margin, $2 million in net profit pre-tax. Multiplied by 5, your law firm value is $10 million. If you decide to sell it after long-term capital gain tax, you're going to have about $8 million in the bank. It's not too shabby. Most of us will never, ever get there. Right? That's a point of financial freedom. And you will be making a ton of money. Life will feel, not that life feels really bad at $400,000, $500,000 a year. It doesn't. But at $2.5 million a year, which you would make if you were operating a sole owner of a law firm that does $10 million in revenue, that's a lot of impact that you can have and a lot of freedom and way fewer worries, at least those that can be solved with money, right? Making $2.5 million a year, you can probably solve overwhelming majority of problems that can be solved with money. Maybe you won't buy a Gulfstream. Don't. No, that's stupid. But all other things, they're become very, very affordable. So it's worth it. It's worth aiming for that $10 million line in the interim 5 million. And business acumen, like we talked, business acumen, good business advisor, a great marketing team. And I mean a great marketing team. And spend a second on why it should be a great marketing team. Because marketing is a team sport. For you to win at marketing, for you to get those 17 leads per day, you have to have a better marketing team than your competition does. Or if your competitors have the best and you have the best and everybody else doesn't, you're still going to get those 17 leads a day. But if your competitor has a marketing team and you have D, like Pee-wee league or maybe like junior high league, and like their marketing team is like college level or professional level, you're dead. Not like dead, but things are going to be difficult. Your leads are going to cost you more money. You're going to get fewer cases. Your case acquisition cost subsequently is going to be higher than that of your competitors. It's going to suck. Your life is going to be more expensive than your competitor who is doing so much better. It's wild how it works.
Absolutely. It's make the investment.
It's worth it.
Do the research.
It's worth it to be healthy. Yeah, it's worth it to be healthier. It's worth it to have a healthier business. Yes, time, energy, and money goes into both, but so worth it. And I think this is a great place for us to wrap up. Thank you for sharing the insights. It was great
Thanks
to
for
have you
having
on
me,
the podcast,
Sasha.
friend. We've been talking about doing this for quite some time. Finally made it.
I know. It was fun. It was fun. I'm always watching now. I'm a part of it. I loved it. Thanks for
Now
having
you're
me.
part of it. My pleasure.